I started talking to people who are using generative AI to write books for them and then to design the illustration for the books. And then they automatically put these machine written, machine designed books on Amazon because they've worked out where the market is, what customers are looking for. And it's a bit scary sometimes. We're in a world now where there's infinite amounts of data coming from sensors, coming from what happens with tracking people's behavior online, do it ethically. If you don't use this data to make better decisions, to have automated systems that are monitoring and changing your strategy in real time, you're missing out. And this is everything from, if you are investing, you need the data from what's going to happen in the future with climate change. So there are companies that I'm getting to know that are using machine learning and really complex algorithms to plot weather changes quite a long time in advance. That's a maths problem that they're solving, but it could be worth an awful lot of money to the people developing land, to the people building a new village somewhere. If you are a retail company, your customers' behavior change is happening in real time as well. You have to monitor, you have to watch their behavior. And it's not simply they're telling you something, it's how many seconds before they abandon the shopping cart. And I think we need to combine online plus offline data and use the best available algorithms to help tell you what to do with it. So there's a lot of hype around this thing we're calling the Metaverse. Some Californian companies are even renaming their brand after Meta. It may be a bit premature. So yes, wherever people interact at scale, wherever they engage, there's going to be transactional value. There's going to be social media created. There's going to be a sense of your identity interacting with others. But we're not there yet. And there needs to be a compelling user experience where you feel comfortable expressing yourself, where you're not wearing heavy, super expensive equipment that means that your friend can't join in. And I often find it really helpful to look at what's happening in the gaming world. People who play online games, what they do in the evening and weekends is what we're going to be doing in our day jobs in a couple of years. And what you're seeing is hugely scaled, multi-dimensional, real-time interactivity where you can be at a concert and maybe pay with a bit more of your tokens to be closer to the performer, or you can be capturing a mountain from the enemy in conjunction with 10,000 other people who are on your side. It's hyper realistic increasingly. And we've developed the software systems that mean there's no latency, there's no lag. That, I think, is where the metaverse is going. I don't think you're going to be wearing these devices around your house. I think you may use a device for a workplace connection with others. It's got to be better than Zoom or Teams because you can look around you, you can share data much more easily. But I think we're at the very early stages. And the thing about tech is it works on exponential curves, the doubling and doubling that we see in Moore's law. And it seems to start very slowly and you assume nothing is really going to change. And then overnight, that doubling accelerates. And we've seen that with generative artificial intelligence, with apps like ChatGPT. For a long time, it was some vague promise for the future. And then recently, it's been something real that you can use, that every few weeks gets better and better. And soon it becomes a way to write your university thesis, or it becomes a way to generate 1,000 different marketing emails, or it becomes a way to create a movie. And we weren't ready for that because we're not used to these exponential curves. So I'm a journalist by instinct. I'm not a futurist. I go to the edge to see what's happening. I don't theorize in an armchair. And I spend a lot of time talking to the people who are leaving DeepMind to start an AI company, or to the people trying to capture carbon at scale, or to the people designing medical devices that we can't yet envisage using to keep us alive for longer. So my view of the trends is based on what people think both can be business models, can pay for themselves, but also can be transformative to today's ways of doing things. And I think there's a few macro trends. First of all, and it's pretty well known to everybody watching, machine learning, artificial intelligence is accelerating, and it is going to cause social and economic consequences. I edited a magazine, Wired magazine. I thought, I get the big ideas, I can write beautifully, the machine can do that. The machine can get more ideas than I can get. You can go to a generative AI like ChatGPT and get it to write you a book, and it happens in a few minutes. You have to think where the human will add value to the machine. So AI is going to hit everything. And some of the jobs that we're doing today, the AI is going to be doing better. There's already startups like Kieran Medical that are proving AI is better at reading your cancer scan than the humans, than the professionals. And we want that. We want the AI to help save lives. But it's going to change if you combine it with the growth of autonomous delivery. It's going to change the sorts of jobs we do. And I think we need, first of all, an ethical discussion about how we want to try and constrain the AI, because more and more it's going to decide what we as humans should be doing. Secondly, we want to be able to retrain people whose skill set, and we're talking even about lawyers, accountants, doctors, are going to be surpassed by the ability of the AI. And we need to bridge the economic gaps, because I think there's going to be a bit of social dislocation. And then we need the big ethical questions about what it's like, what is being a human? You know, where do we fit in a world that's increasingly going to be machine operated? So lots of leaders are a bit worried about how to do digital transformation better. And typically they'll appoint somebody as their director of innovation to take care of it. And if they're really innovative, they'll give them a super innovative job title like digital Sherpa or chief disruptive growth officer. And the problem with making it one person's problem is it doesn't affect the culture of the core organization. And I got a bit frustrated with seeing a lot of this. And I wrote a book because I didn't want to be a cynic, where I wanted to look for positive examples of digital transformation. And I went to about 20 countries. The book is called Non-Bullshit Innovation, because I wanted to find the real stuff, not the nonsense I was seeing. And there are a few tips I learned by going to China and Estonia and talking to government departments and talking to gigantic corporations. One of them, make everybody in your organization responsible to an extent for this transformation. Because the people on the front line doing sales, the people in the back office, they are seeing these behavioral trends. They are seeing how the technology they're using in their personal lives could make things easier in delivering the products to the customers. And you want to find ways to get their feedback. Second, have people who think in different ways making decisions together. Cognitive diversity. At Google X, they're obsessed with cognitive diversity. If you're building a delivery drone system, you don't just want engineers and physicists. You want a former concert pianist. You want somebody who's an expert in origami, because they challenge how each other think. And that's how you come up with the new way to solve the problem. You do it collectively. If you want to encourage your team to think in a fresher way, let them out of the office. Let them go to an event that's got nothing to do with their day job. If you're a retail company, have a trip to a cryptocurrency conference. If you are a media company, go to a human rights event. Not because it might be fun, but because you'll see how other people from a very different perspective are solving problems using technology. So I go as much as I can to a human rights conference in Oslo, And I always learn edge use cases of technology, because these are people whose lives are at risk. They are challenging very powerful, nasty regimes. And so these are the people who first taught me about proper encryption in apps. These are the people who taught me how cybersecurity attacks happen and how to defend yourself. These are the people who taught me how to build networks across lots of different geographies in real time and get collaborative decision making. And if you go to a crypto conference, you'll start to hear a whole new language about Web3, about decentralized networks that may make no sense. And you may not buy into the big messages of cryptocurrencies and tokens, but you'll start to see how people build value, build perceived value in decentralized networks. And by having people go out of their mainstream way of thinking, they will come back in with suggestions that they can modify. If your doctor went to a machine learning conference, the doctor, she or he, may not understand everything, but they'll come back with a realization that this could be a phenomenal way of helping people with musculoskeletal problems. You can track them using a camera, and then you can give them exercises, and maybe they don't need to come into the surgery. Innovation is everywhere. You just got to look outside your comfort zone. So I'm a journalist who got a bit lost and got to know too many startup founders, and I'm happiest in the research lab in Zurich or in MIT, or as I did last night, having a very long late night conversation with some AI people about whether the machine is going to kill us. But I'm a reporter at heart who thinks in an entrepreneurial way. I also invest in a lot of early stage tech companies. And so I'm not interested in, wow, this is a shiny new object, this is tech. I'm much more interested in, okay, so this reality is changing in what technology enables. This is what autonomous transportation or drone warfare could potentially mean. How do we deal with that, both as a commercial opportunity, as a regulatory challenge, as a new way of communicating between us? And then how do we help people who have to make those commercial decisions adapt that fast moving iterative culture inside that organization? So when I get a brief for a talk, it could be to a food company, to a financial services company. I've just done a big one for a government services company. I start to obsessively learn about the challenges they're facing. And then I go to my tech network and start to talk to them about how they would solve those problems. I did a talk last week to a publishing group, and I started talking to people who are using generative AI to write books for them, and then to design the illustration for the books. And then they automatically put these machine written, machine designed books on Amazon because they've worked out where the market is, what customers are looking for. And it's a bit scary sometimes. I think I was told I was 91% inspirational, 9% scary. But it's important that they know that this is happening out there, so they can work out how they can add extra value through the quality of the curation. And I think you have to work out now how your organization can add that value, because the tech is there, it's becoming a commodity. So my job is to inspire your audience about what's happening and how you can use it to build future-facing business models, but also to give you a little bit of a reality check that you can't rest, because how we did things yesterday probably won't be how we do things tomorrow.